Hi folks, I'm going to make a video of how to install a solar panel on a 1991 Hymer 6 Series motorhome. I've got all the kit here in front of me. The large thing you can see there in bubble wrap is the solar panel. It's a flexible one. It's probably, oh I don't know, a couple of mil thin, rated at 150 watts. So that's going up. I've got a solar controller here, a Tracer EPVA 20 amp solar controller with a digital display. That's going to come down from the solar panel, and then we've got a MT50 monitor display, which is going to be able to tell me how much power's coming in, how much going out, and the state of my batteries and so on. It's going to be bonded onto the roof with this tape, which is double-sided foam tape. So there's going to be a few strips of that going the length of the solar panel, as well as this Soudall fix-all. So I'm going to put a bead of that, probably about 3/4 of an inch on the inside of the solar panel, and then once it's bonded I'm going to do a nice bead all the way around the outside so it seals it and no damp can get in there or mess or muck. There's a cable entry gland. I've already got a hole up on the roof for a old aerial which doesn't work, so basically I've ripped that off, and then I'm going to open the hole up, put that cable gland over the hole, and the two slots you can see there is where the cables for the solar panel are going to come through. Tighten them up, or watertight, so basically I don't have to drill any holes or anything like that. Bond it, thread the cables through, and then wire it all up. I've got a fuse, 4-way fuse thing here, which that's going to go on the positive lead coming from the battery to the solar controller with a 15 amp fuse, blade fuse. I've got some screws to screw the controller up, and I've got various wiring connectors, an RJ45 lead for the MT50, which will plug in to the solar controller on one of the ports underneath it. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is jump up on the roof, get everywhere marked out where I want to put the solar panel, which I've already cleaned. It's got a good idea, spotless, and then I'll get that stuck down and then I'll come back. Right, here we are up on the roof of the van. You can see the main skylight there in the living room, and just to the top left of the screen is two aerials. The first one, which is furthest away, doesn't feed anything, and the other one, which I've taken out, didn't feed anything anyway. So I'll just go a bit closer. You can see where the panel's going to fit all the way around here. Spotlessly clean, so shouldn't have a problem bonding. And you can see the hole just there, which is that one, where the power cables from the solar panel are going to go through inside to the solar controller. Obviously I've got a cable entry gland which is going to completely cover that up and totally seal the waterproof, so there won't be any problems with leaks. So next thing is, let's get the solar panel all prepared and ready to bring up and bond down. Right folks, back downstairs now, outside the van. I've got this solar panel, as you can see. The measurement is the length's 1460 centimetres and the width's 540 centimetres, and it's 3 millimetres thick. So that's the one that's going up. Let me just spin it over, because then I can zoom into the spec. Right, on the back of it you can see there, flexible solar panel. It's a monocrystalline with 150 watt power rating. The cell bronze has some power, which is very good. And what I'll be doing next is, along the whole length of the panel, I'll be putting some tape, double-sided strong bonding tape, probably 3 strips all the way around, and as I said previously, I'm going to bead about 3/4 of an inch all along the edge just to make sure it's solid stuck down. And then once that's pretty much gone off, I'm going to sort of bead it around the edge, a bit like you bead tiles in a bathroom, just to make it's going to be watertight. And also there's 6 holes there, so I'm basically going to fill them up with some beading as well, just so it's going to be, you know, solid, watertight, no leaks, no problems, no rot underneath it, no green stuff or anything like that. So that's that. Come back shortly once I've taped it. Right folks, I'm now up on the roof of the van. You can see the solar panel there in front of me. Underneath it's the cardboard box that it came in. You know, in the vent, that's the positioning of it. If you sort of can see on the back of the panel, it's really bright here, but you can see a load of strips of very strong double-sided foam tape, and then right around the edge I'm going to bead it up with that there, Soudall fix-all, flip it over, bond it down, and then I'll bead around the edge just to seal it and make sure it's watertight, and those 6 holes will also be sealed. So again, as I've said before, no damp or muck or anything like that can get underneath the panel and cause any issues. So let's get on with doing the beading. Get the tape off, flip it over, stick it down. Right, here we go. I don't know if you can see this, but the beading all the way around the edge, all the way at the top, back down. Also put a few squiggles in the middle. So next thing, get all this sticky back tape off, and then big job of flipping the panel over and then sighting it as close to that hole as I can. So I'll come back in a minute when I've done that. Alright ladies and gents, there's the solar panel. It's all bonded in place. There is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 44 cells on that. So yeah, very happy with that. Nice, clean, dead simple installation. Let's just get a bit closer to the cable entry gland, which is that there. You see the cables, that's all sealed on, covering that hole up. Not brilliant, to be honest, because what I didn't take into consideration, I put the panel just a little bit too close to that area, so I couldn't get it facing forward, but I'm going to seal it all anyway, and the cables will be watertight, so I'll just, as an extra precaution, just put some sealant just around where the cables just go into those glands just there. So what I'm going to do is cover the panel up now with this big cardboard thing, so that I can now go inside and start sorting out the wiring up. Obviously I don't want it generating any power at the moment because it's not plugged into anything. Another word of advice is the positive and negative cables that come off the panel that do go to the solar controller. As you put them through the gland, it's always best just to mark off one of the cables. So on the end of the cable, which I'll show you inside, I've taped up the positive cable with some red insulation tape, just so that I can identify it when I come to wiring it up. So that's that bit done, and now it's all pretty much work inside. When this sealant sets and I've got it all wired up, what I will do is come back up here and put a beading all around the edge of the panel, but it's pointless doing that at the moment just because I'm going to be covering it up anyway with this big cardboard thing, just to stop it generating power through the cables, which I don't want at the moment. So back downstairs and back inside. Right, back inside now. You can see just there up in the corner, those two wires that are coming down out of the gland are now here. Positive cable with the red tape on, so I know what's what. Now what I'm going to do, on the side of this cabinet here, up there, is where I'm going to stick the solar controller. I've got some obviously conduit there, so I can run all the cables all the way right down to the batteries down there, which is to the left of the driver's seat. So next job, knackering me out this, is to fit and screw on the solar controller, which is that little beauty just there. So let's get on with that. Cut the wires to the relevant length and then get them wired in. Back shortly. Right, struggling for space here, but there's the solar controller. The two wires you can see coming in through some conduit there, just out to the side, and then positive, which is the yellow one, and negative, which is the silver one. So those are screwed in tight. Remember, the solar panel's covered up with a cardboard box on the roof and it's weighted down as well, so there's no power coming into it at all yet. Next thing is dropping down now to the leisure batteries, so I'll start doing that and come back soon. Right, solar controller there, and all the cables that will come out of the solar controller, I've now wired all those in, rather than doing a video of every wire going in and, you know, all that kind of thing. So I'm trying to hold this iPad steady. The one there is the remote temperature sensor, which is a cable that I run all down to the battery. The yellow one, positive, incoming from the solar panel, negative, incoming from the solar panel. Brown cable will be the positive, which will lead down to the battery, and the blue one's the negative leading down to the battery, and the grey one is an RJ45 lead, which will eventually come all the way down all this conduit into that box there, which will also tell me all sorts of information about my batteries and currents and all that kind of thing. So I've hidden all the wires all in this conduit coming right down from the roof, so that's where the hole was. Boarded up and the gland's on top anyway to watertight seal it, and then all the way down past the MT50, the seat belt, right down to the floor there, and then just to the right where all them red, black and all that spaghetti wiring is where one of the leisure batteries is, to the left of the handbrake, and the other leisure battery will sit on top in a battery box. Now down there there's a load of wiring that's not wired up correctly, because the two batteries are supposed to be parallel wired, and from one battery there'll be a positive, and then on the other battery should be all the negative stuff, or vice versa, whichever way around. Now I'm going to redo that, because on the second leisure battery, which does sit on top of that, it's parallel wired into that battery, except none of the negative or the positive cables are attached to it. So essentially that single battery there is powering everything, and the other battery on top is basically just feeding it bits and bats, and I'm not sure if it's charging up correctly. So we'll get all that wiring done correctly, and we should hopefully see an improvement in battery performance. So that's all that. So what I'm going to do, get this MT50 screwed on properly, solid, and connected up. That's that job done. And then I'm sat on top of this drop down bunk bed, which is above the cab, so I'm going to push all that away, all the way back up, and get down to the nitty gritty down there and getting all that sorted out. So hopefully quite soon we should be able to uncover the panels, switch everything on, and see what happens. Let's just hope the van doesn't end up in flames, which hopefully it won't do. So come back shortly for the next bit, which is down there. Right, here we are, downstairs now. So we've got the leisure battery, we've got this inverter here as well, and these two, that cable and that one is for the inverter. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the inverter completely out of the wiring for the time being, because what it should be wired up as parallel. It should, because I've got two batteries, one of the leads out of these two should really be going to the other battery, and I'm going to use all the negative connections, which are these ones there. I'm going to take all them off and I'm going to put all those onto the second battery. So yeah, that's what I need to do, because as you can see, all the cables going in and out of that battery, and this connection here is basically wired up to the second battery, and that's it. So there's nothing connected onto the terminals of the second battery. So it should either be a positive or the negative completely off that battery. So let's get that done, get it all tidied up, and then see where we're at. Right, inverter has been completely taken out of the equation, so at the moment I've not got an inverter wired into the system. So there's all the cables that I've just taken off. You can see them. I know it zooms in, I can't zoom out any further on this iPad. So there you are, all done. Chuck those out of the window and forget about them for the time being. So now we're back down to the very simple wiring. So all I need to make a decision now is whether to use all the negatives and put them onto the battery that's going on top, or all the positives. And the best way of working that out really is which one's got the longest wires to reach the terminal on top of the battery. So I'm going to spend a few minutes and work all this out, and then come back. Right, positives and negative terminals, which is all the habitation electrics, have been taken off this battery, and I'm just going to work out now roughly where the positive or the negative will reach to once I've got that battery compartment covered up, and then there's a battery box that goes on top of the other battery. So what I'll probably do is just get the other battery and roughly work out which one's got all the longest leads, where the positive or the negative, so I can parallel wire everything up properly. The red and black you can see at the moment, that's just the connections to parallel wire it up. That's without any connections. So I'm just going to work this out, and then I'll carry on. Right, you see the board's covered the first battery up, which is underneath, and now that's the second battery. So I have got a bit of an issue now. That brown cable around there won't quite pull to get onto the terminal, and also the little ring connector that's screwed onto there, what I could do is get it onto that. So I'm probably going to have to get right down and work out, see if I can stretch, pull this brown cable through wherever it's going to come from, just say 2 inches, and I'll be happy with that, because then I can use the negative on the top battery and the positive will stay down on the other battery, because I've got plenty of space there down there with that one to just stay underneath the box. So I'm going to try and work out this brown cable, see what I can do with it, if I can pull it. I don't really want to be piecing, and I'm not piecing it up. I've not got any cable that thick either at the moment, so I don't want to botch it, I'd rather just do it properly straight away. So let's see what I can do with this brown cable from there. Right, what I managed to do is the brown cable that you can see, that one was the one that was holding the negative terminals back by an inch, 2 inches. So I've pulled that through by about another 3 inches. So that's given me plenty of place so that I can use the top battery for all the negative terminals. Now what I've also done is, this is the cable that comes down from the solar panel, that the solar controller, which is going to be wired up to the battery. Now the brown cable, if you remember, is our positive. This is a 4-way fuse box, so in the future if I wire anything else up I can run it through this. So we've got, I think it's this second one, and that blue 15 amp fuse is going to go into there on the positive side of the battery, and that's going to be connected up. This ring is going to go on that, like that. And then so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to connect all the positive stuff up, and then that's basically everything done down there, and then I can start working on the second battery. So I think I'll bring the red cable in from the inverter, put that down onto that terminal as well as the positive. I'll plug the fuse in, and then I can pack all that up, and then that's done and dusted. And all I've got to do next is the negative side of the wiring, and that's more or less everything done, I think. And then it's a case of uncovering the panel up on the roof, and fingers crossed, let's see what happens. So next thing, connecting the positive side up. Positive side all done. So just to show you, there is the fuse. That cable is for the inverter. This one, this red one, there is going to be for the parallel wiring to wire the two batteries together. So you can see the yellow terminal just there with the brown wire on. That's the positive. That's going to whiz up to the solar controller. So now that's all sorted out and done, I can get myself a brew now, and then put all this back together, and then concentrate on the second battery, which I'm going to put in next. So let's see what happens on the next part of this with the second leisure battery. Hello again. Right, that is the second battery. You can see on the right hand side there is all the negative wires that are supposed to come into the battery, and they're all nicely wired neatly. The blue cable to the left is the negative coming from the solar controller, so that's all sorted out. And the inverter cable is the top black one, which is that one there. This one's the parallel negative for the battery, and the red one's the positive for the parallel for the battery. So as far as I'm concerned now, that is all the wiring complete, and we have a display all of a sudden on the MT50 meter showing nothing from the solar panel, and that's because it's covered up. So yeah, what I'll do, I'll sort the solar panel out now and then see where we're up to. You can see our batteries look pretty crap, to be honest. So I have got an intention to put new batteries in just over the next week or two, possibly just one big one. Saves a lot of complications with the wiring and so on as well. So let's go and do the solar panel and see what's going on. Yeah, all wired up correctly anyway. So back soon with the solar panel working. I've taken the cardboard cover off the solar panel up on the roof, so the solar panel is now exposed completely now. We've got a bit of sun. The time is about 4:45 in the early evening, so the sun's still quite high. We've got 24.2 volts coming in off the panel, 3 amps. Battery showing 13.9 volts, 5.2 amps. The right icon, which is a bit like an energy saving light bulb, it shows 0 volts, 0 amp, is a load setting. So on the controller there are 2 extra terminals, plus and minus, positive and negative, that you can, you know, wire something in, like a little socket or something like that, and then when that gets used, that will show amps and that kind of thing. So unfortunately I was a bit misled with this MT50 controller, because I thought it would show load coming out of my batteries that's being used in the habitation area, but that's not the case. So I'll be installing, and I've already got one somewhere, a battery monitor called a BM1 monitor that should be able to tell me tons of information. So main thing is solar panels are working, it's charging the batteries up, there's a smiley face there, so everything's happy, so I'm quite pleased with the job. All in all, I reckon it's probably taken me, I've had loads of breaks and that kind of thing, so, you know, collectively it's probably taken in labour terms probably 2 hours really, to just get all this done, and making sure, you know, I've not miswired something up and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's it. I don't really know what else to say, so it's dead simple. If you fancy having a go, you know, buy all the kit. You can get the controller, this monitor, places like eBay, Amazon, the solar panel I bought off a friend who does motorhome repairs. He's based in not far away from Stratford upon Avon in the UK. He runs a company called North Cotswold Motorhomes, and he does a load of work on Hymers specifically, which I'm a massive fan of. Anybody who knows me will know I'm huge on Hymers, especially these older ones, you know, a bit earlier, you know, from 1994 going older. There's stuff I like. The guy's called Peter Curry, so I'd like to give a big shout out to him, because he's given me loads of knowledge and information just recently, and over the last few years as well, and he's written loads of posts and I've read every single thing, so I completely trust him, and I'd like to thank him for his help, and as a result of the help, it's given me the confidence to be able to do all this by myself. So I'm very happy. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Any questions, feel free to ask. I'm going to chuck it on YouTube and all that kind of thing. So what I'll do on YouTube, as you'll see, I'll itemise all the bits and pieces that I've bought and required, the tools I've used and so on. So all dead simple. Chuffed. Now I'm going to get myself a nice beer and sit in the sun for half an hour. Thanks for watching.